Hey guys, I'm actually in my home state of Ohio right now. Now that I've fully decompressed from my Burning Man experience and I've had enough time to reflect upon it, I wanted to talk about some of my peak moments. Something else I'm going to talk about is what I did to my eye. An area of the Nevada desert goes from a population of near zero because the place can't really support life to a city of 70,000 people that offers this full spectrum of incredible experiences. So here are some of the things that I most enjoyed. On the 26th, which was the first day for general admittance, I picked up Left Right, who is my friend from Dallas. He's a music producer, and he's the whole reason that I got to go in the first place. He hooked me up with like everything, the people who were running the camp. He subsidized my ticket. And so I picked him up in Reno and we drove out there, and those desert roads are not meant to transport that many people. So you can be in line for like 12 hours. This car immediately in front of us, we see this guy get out and this girl starts to help him put on a robot costume. And at this time, Left Right is working on putting together his lists of songs for the different DJ sets he was going to do. I think he had like 5 different sets at like art cars and different camps. So he's working on that, and this guy gets suited up in a robot outfit, and on his chest are these speakers, and then he starts playing dance music, and all these people like come crowd around like right next to our vehicle, and I hop out and join them, and it's like, it's not great music, it's kind of like wedding dance music, but everyone's like having a great time. And Left Right at a certain point gets out and he's like, I'm trying to work, but there's like a dance party happening like 2 feet from my head. When we got to the gate, it's like tradition for virgins to get out and ring a bell and lay down and do a dust angel. The dust is something that people go to great lengths to keep it off of things that they don't want kind of destroyed. It's like this extremely alkaline powder. So imagine talcum powder. Those are like really fine particles in talcum powder. Well, Playa dust is about a third of the particle size of talcum powder. It is extremely pervasive. People put like painter's tape on all the windows of their vehicles that they don't want the dust to like get in. So to be asked to like get down and like coat yourself in it and then get back into your car, it kind of sucks. But I was there not to be a wuss. So I got down, and then just to make sure, I got a nice even coating, I flipped over and got the other side. Eventually, we make it to camp, and it's night at this point. We set up our stuff and put lights on our bikes so we don't run into anybody or nobody runs into us. And we go out with the gang of people, and we go visit the man and see like the art inside there and around the platform. And then we go to look at some sort of other art, and we come upon one called Night at the Climb-In. A stack of cars, 7 or 8 tall, and then on top of those cars is a trailer that had a bar in it. So you climb this treacherous path up these vehicles into a trailer, and then they get you drunk up there. And then from the trailer, you could climb like 20 feet higher up into a crow's nest, and right above your head there, it's shooting flames occasionally. I climbed it that first night. Then I went back the second night and I climbed it again, and this time I'm like, oh, things are a little rougher around the edges, like from all the traffic of people going up and down. Cars were a little shakier than before, and up in the trailer, I remember on the second night, I went to step on this chair to climb up to something, and it just collapsed under me. And I was like, oh, it's missing a leg. So things started to get a little more rough. And then the third time I went by there, they had closed it down. So I guess people had started to get hurt on it. Somebody, I heard, broke their arm. Fortunately, I think that was the worst of the injuries. Another one of my favorite places was Swing City. It's like a big adult playground. People doing like aerialist type stuff, acro yoga, and they have this swing that is, it's like 2 bars coming down and a platform, and you strap your legs into it, and the goal is to do a loop over the top bar. When the people who were working the camp would jump on there, they would crush it. They would go this way, then they would change it up and go back the other way. But then when I got in line, like everyone in front of me, it took like a lot of effort to get it close. And I think maybe only a couple people got like one loop and it was like, all right, I did it. And they would be pretty much done at that point and wore out. But I set the goal, I felt a little confident. So I was like, I'm gonna do 3 loops. And when I finally got up to the front of the line, the guy working it is like, all right, you're the last one. We're cutting the line off. So like everyone in line behind me, unfortunately, didn't get to go. But I felt like super lucky. And then I got on there and I was like, I can't waste this opportunity. Woo! Yeah! Woo! That's 3. Nice. Yeah! Woo! Dang. So I felt really proud in that moment. Awesome. By far, some of the coolest things you're gonna see there are the art cars. One of the art cars that was really controversial this year was literally a 747 that people had modified to turn into a car to bring to the desert. Yeah, it may have taken a little less artistry maybe versus some of the ones that have like animatronic metal animals blowing flames out. But it was really cool to see how big some people would take the idea of art cars. So everybody knows about the man that burns down as like a symbol of impermanence. But there's also a temple. This year it was like this gorgeous like spiral wooden structure, and they burned that down on Sunday, like the last day. While the man is burning, it's like this big party. Everyone's hooping and hollering. When the temple burns, it's the complete opposite. It's more of a memorial. So people are putting up photos of loved ones, and you'll see people crying, hugging. It's this really somber environment. And when it burns, there's like tens of thousands of people gathered around it, and almost all of them are being dead silent. There was a funny moment or two where like somebody tries to kind of make it about them, so they'll like start singing, and then somebody else responded like, "Shut the hell up! This ain't a cappella night!" The way it's structured this year, it had this like swirl effect, so it made a big like fire tornado that went probably like a couple hundred feet up. I was looking off to the side or something and I heard a gasp, and I like looked up over the people in front of me, and I saw a dust devil, like this massive dust devil had started right next to the temple, and it sucked in, like not just the dust, but it sucked in a bunch of embers. So you had the big fire flame tornado right in the middle of the temple, and right next to it, for a moment at least, was this big dust tornado full of fiery embers, and that was really beautiful. Besides the great times I had on the Dirty Guy Roadhouse, the best time I had on an art car was on one called Icarus. In Greek mythology, Icarus dared to fly too close to the sun, and Icarus, the car, is outfitted to look like a spaceship, and it does a very special thing right before the sun breaks over the horizon at sunrise, and that is it lifts up into the air. Not only did I get to be on Icarus during this time, but Left Right was playing a set during it. So I got to be with a handful of my campmates, and they parked the car and people got out, and this vehicle that looks like it was straight out of Mad Max, it looked like it had this giant gun with like 4 cannons on top of it. And I walked up to it and the guy was like, "Would you like to control it?" And he handed me a Super Nintendo controller where each of the 4 buttons on the right side controlled a different flame poofer. I was so tickled by getting to do that. How did I give myself a black eye and a bunch of road rash on the side of my face? Well, I guess the story would start where Left Right had left his bike at a camp across the Playa, and it was like 6 in the morning or something. He said he was gonna go get it, and I was like, "I'll come." And he was just gonna walk there, and I'm like, "No, we're not gonna walk. We had carts at our camp, I'm like, let's just rig up a cart to my bike and we'll do it chariot style. So we spent a good amount of time like trying to rig this up. And at one point we put like a bungee around the cart and my bike. And I was like, get in! And I start to try to take off and it just stretches and pulls me back. And he's back there like so afraid that this bungee is going to snap and like take his eye out. So he's like riding like this. And eventually, we break the cart. We give up on that idea. And right as we're leaving, our buddy Jason shows up. He just pulls right up beside us and he's like, where are we going, guys? I'm like, yes! A crew has assembled! We're going out on an adventure! And so we went out, looked at some of the art out there on the way. We hang out on some scaffolding, drink a little Maker's Mark. Somehow I lose track of them. And I get on my bike and I'm like, where'd they go? And I just like pick a direction. I'm like, maybe they went that way. And I take off really quickly on my bike. And the next thing I know, where my memory continues again is I'm walking into a medical tent and I'm like, oh, where's my bike? And I look back and somebody has my bike and they're like, we got it. And they like are parking it into the bike parking. And so they are like examining me in there, like making sure I don't have a concussion, which thankfully I do not. But I have some blood on my face and a bunch of dirt where I had like, I guess, slid across the ground a little bit with my face. But besides that, I was pretty dandy. And so they're checking me out and asking me questions. I start to get a little paranoid. I'm like, is it okay if I leave? And their response to this, which was pretty unprofessional in my opinion, was, if you try to leave, you're going to be held down and we're going to inject you with a sedative. And my mind is like, I'm getting the darn out of here. But I play it cool and they like sit me down to talk to somebody. And the moment I realize they're not paying attention to me, I just stand up and just nonchalantly stroll over to where the bikes are and get on my bike and I pedal my ass off back to camp. I get to camp and it's morning at this point, but I fall asleep on this communal couch area. And when I wake up, people have, of course, grown concerned for the guy who's got a big black eye on the couch. So I wake up to two people from the medical tent. When I see them there, in addition to the paranoia that it made me feel, like feeling like I was trapped under threat of like force and sedative, like seeing them show up at my camp, I'm like, how did they find me? I found out later that one of my campmates had called them to come check on me, which was the right call. It looked ugly as hell, and for a while I was self-conscious about it, and I was wearing a bandana like covering this eye, and people were saying that maybe my Playa name should be Captain, kind of like a pirate, because I was down to one eye at that point. I kind of began to see it as a blessing because the outpouring of concern from my fellow campmates really made it seem like palpable how much I had been adopted into this family. Lastly, in terms of unforgettable, I've got to talk about my camp. We had a 20-foot fire tornado at the corner of our camp that people love to like come check out at night, and you could control it. We had shower ability, a big kitchen. We had group dinners, which meant you just helped out on one of the nights to provide dinner for everybody, and then you got this amazing dinner every night. We had shade over majority of our camp. We had giant games. I'm incredibly grateful that I got to be a part of that. But I'll end it there. I won't subject you to any more. So, would I go back again? Absolutely. One of the hardest parts was trying to squash down the immense FOMO I was feeling. Even though it's a week long, you can't hope to experience even like 1% of all the things available to you. I just gotta go back. I gotta see more, I gotta do more. If you like this video, give it a like. If you have any questions or comments, leave those below and I'll get back to you. But until next time, peace, guys. Peace. Mm.